Just 3 weeks ago, I launched a brand new Shopify dropshipping store, which over the span, I was able to take to $100,000 in sales. Sit tight because I'm going to show you how I exactly did that. Ladies and gentlemen, it's your boy Yash. Welcome back to the channel. Before we do move forward into the case study video, make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel with your post notification bells turned on. And if you do want to get your good deed of the day out and done with, make sure you guys drop a huge like on this video. Do me a favor and absolutely smash that like button so this video can help and reach as many people as possible. Now, if you're a beginner, and especially if you haven't yet found that winning 6 or 7 figure dropshipping product, I highly recommend sticking through the entire video. We're gonna be covering a bunch of things, from how I actually found the product, how I set the product up, what my pricing was, what my offer was. I'll also be going into my Shopify dashboard and a little bit into my Facebook ads to give you some insight as to how I was able to scale to $100,000 in revenue in 21 days. I truly want to keep this video as informational as possible, so without any further ado, let's hop behind the screen. Finally! I definitely want to go over the numbers first, just to lay everything out, break it down, and perhaps for the skeptics out there. As you can see, from October 23rd to November 14th, I was able to generate $102,536.85. I'm also going to go on the 23rd to the 14th one more time, let that refresh so you guys can actually see these are the legitimate numbers. A little over 86,000 store sessions, a returning customer rate of 1.8%. That is probably going to bump over to 5 and 10% in the coming months as I do more email marketing, SMS marketing, and just remarketing on Facebook in general. We did have an online store conversion rate of 4.31%, which is insanely good. The usual that you see is most likely between 2 and 3.5%. So I believe that was really good. The average order value, or AOV, was $27.15. I'll go into that in just a little bit. And we had 3,778 orders over the course of 3 weeks. One thing I do want to showcase is actually show the gradual week by week progression of the revenue that was generated. So the first week we attained $9,272.38 in sales. The second week inclusive, we generated $35,871.41, and that last week is when things really hit off. We did about $60,000 to $65,000 in sales, and that's what kind of really pushed us over that $100,000 mark in 21 days. You can see the scaling was, very incremental. It was very steady, but it was, not too fast at the same time as well, because I always like taking things step by step, ensuring that I'm maximizing my end result even when I'm scaling. With that being said, let's actually go further into the case study and break some things down. Continuing some of the numbers, let's go over the basics of the entire store. In terms of the time frame, we're overviewing from October 23rd to November 14th, the first 3 weeks of the store actually being launched and active. Yes, this was a brand new Shopify account, new domain name, new social medias, new business manager, and new Facebook ad accounts. And if you're curious, yes, this store is still active and still getting day-to-day sales. It's more so on autopilot, where I have to go in and manage the ads for about 20 to 25 minutes per day. In terms of store type, this is a micro-branded one-product store. It is not a general store, niche store, or a general niche store. I typically stick to micro-branded one-product stores as it allows me to hone down and stick to that one individual product, better brand it, and actually put more emphasis on the product's features, benefits, and end results. I typically prefer micro-branded one-product stores because it is more simpler, it is less work than multi-product stores, and quite frankly, it creates more authority to your potential customers because it looks like you're the only store or Shopify store selling that specific product. The theme I was using was the Motion theme, the latest version of the Motion theme. Motion theme works great for multi-product niche and for one-product stores. I've used it for different kinds of stores, but I personally also prefer paid themes because they're more customizable, they have more to offer, they make your store look more professional, and they also come pre-installed or preloaded with tons of apps, widgets, and add-ons that quite frankly save you a lot of time and money in the long run. I personally believe the consumer market is just so succumbed and used to of generic themes, Shopify stores that all look the same. So you have to make sure your store is a step higher, a notch higher, and actually looks different and urges a sense of confidence and trust when that potential customer visits your website. To break the numbers down even further, we generated $102,536.85 in the 3 weeks. The total advertising cost through Facebook, yes, Facebook is my bread and butter. That is the avenue of paid marketing I utilize to scale 90 to 95% of my e-commerce dropshipping stores. Anyway, that number was $53,361.81. The total transaction fees came out to be $3,964.21. That is through Stripe and PayPal. I typically use those two payment processors on a majority of my stores. I personally always like giving consumers or customers that cushion, that conveniency, and that option of paying with credit card or by PayPal. Therefore, I had those two payment options on the store. The total product cost or cost of goods sold for the 3 weeks came out to be $26,315.20. And the profit came out to be $18,895.63 in the 3 weeks. So give or take $19,000 or $20,000. And that gave us profit margins of 18.4%. Not the best profit margins, not the worst profit margins. Typically, most of my stores have a profit margin of 15 to 25%. In dropshipping, you'll mostly see anywhere from 10 to 20%. So not too bad. Moving on to the actual product, the price of the product shipped to the US was $4 per unit, which means the price of the product plus the shipping price was $4 per unit if someone placed an order to the United States. About 70 to 80% of my total customers are in fact from the United States. Now, if the product has to be shipped anywhere else in the world, it was $4.50 shipped. That's not too much of a difference for me personally, as like I said, 70 to 80% of my customers were from the United States. The really great thing is that I initially started to work with a private shipping agent. Once I was doing more than 75 orders a day consistently, I transitioned into a fulfillment center / 3PL service, and they gave me an absolute great deal on the product price itself. Basically, if someone got 2 units per order, it would be $7 shipped. If someone got 3 units per order, it would be $10 shipped. If someone ordered 4 units, then it would be $12.50 shipped. This was absolutely a massive deal, especially when you're at scale. Every few cents legitimately matter. If someone ordered 2, I was saving on average $1. If someone ordered 3, I was saving on average $2. And if someone actually ordered 4, then I was saving $3.50. As you saw on the Shopify dashboard before, most people were ordering multiple, and I mean more than 50% of people were buying in between 2 to 5 units per order of the product. My selling price was 50% off the original price, which was $29.99. The selling price came out to be $14.95. Now, I usually don't have sale prices at 50% off, but just because we're in the middle of Q4 currently, we're so close to Black Friday, Cyber Monday weekend, Christmas, so on and so forth, I had it at a deal breaker 50% off. Usually, I like to have it at 20, 30, or 40% off so it doesn't devalue my brand. My Facebook break-even point ROAS came out to be 1.36 to 1.39, which is absolutely really good. That means that is the ROAS or return on ad spend I need on Facebook in order to break even. Which means I'm not losing money, nor am I actually gaining or making money. I'm not in the negatives, nor am I in the positives. I'm simply just breaking even. Your break-even point ROAS is something you should absolutely know for every product, whether you're testing or you're scaling. Some of the pros of the product and why it worked so well is because first and foremost, this was a household product, which also means it is an evergreen product. Almost everyone has some sort of living space, whether it be a house, townhouse, apartment, whatever it really may be. Yes, this product is evergreen, but the greater thing is that this product is specifically used more during the holidays just because the nature of events and environment during Christmas time, Thanksgiving, etc., etc. Secondly, this product was also mass targetable and mass approachable, which means it had an unlimited market. And what I mean by that is that regardless of someone's age, height, gender, belief, interest, someone could actually buy and make use of this product. This product contributed to someone's day-to-day or weekly lives in terms of adding value to it, which had also a very high perceived value attached to it. The product also deals with such characteristics that made it an easier sell on my end and an easier buy from the consumer or potential customer's end. They include desire, want, and impulse. I think the last one, impulse, is very important. Your product has to be impulsive. That customer should decide right there and there that they want this product. This product is absolutely for them and they need and they want this product. You also have to make sure that you understand how Facebook and Instagram work. These two social media platforms are forms of interruptive marketing. You're interrupting someone's pattern while they're looking at pictures of their dogs, family, friends, so on and so forth. So the product has to be unique. It has to have some sort of wow and attention grabbing factor to it. Of course, the ad copy, the visual / creative do matter and do have a significant part into that, but at the end of the day, the product is what will grab and hold people's attention. How did I find the winning 6-figure product? Now let me get something clear. I'm not a big believer in using spy tools and softwares, but every now and then, I do use tools like AdSpy. You may or may not have heard of it. AdSpy is essentially a tool which lets you look at winning ads, winning dropshipping ads by different criteria and whatnot. So a few days before I launched the product, I was just laying in bed before I go to sleep and I was like, let me go on AdSpy. Maybe I'll come across something cool or something worthwhile of actually testing. That same night, I went on AdSpy and I saw one person selling it. They had pretty decent engagement, nothing crazy, but I liked the product right away. I knew it was a very, very, very widely approachable product, like I mentioned in the previous slide. And then the next day, I actually went on to validate the product and look further into it. What I started doing is I went to Facebook and I started searching the product with different key terms. And I saw that there were only 2 sellers currently selling that product. One seller just started running that product a few days ago, and the other seller was slightly scaling that product, which was the same store or seller I found on AdSpy the night before. The seller that was starting to initially scale it had really good engagement. People had really, really positive and good remarks and comments for this specific product, had really good likes and reactions, and a ton of shares as well. That's how you know people were liking this product. People actually wanted a product like this. Next, what I did in my further validation process is I actually went to AliExpress. I used different keywords to find the highest supplier in terms of orders for this specific product, and I found that the highest supplier had 975 orders. My rule of thumb typically on AliExpress is when I search for a product and rank by orders or filter by orders, I tend not to go for a product that has over 3,000 to 3,500 orders. Meaning I'm looking for products or for suppliers that have below 3,500 or 3,000 orders. And I also want to see an upwards trend of suppliers as well. In this case, the first supplier had about 975 orders. The second, third also had a few hundred, such as 600, 500, 400. So I definitely saw an upwards trend for this product just off of the supplier product count. The next thing I did was I went to the AliExpress Dropshipping Center. This is absolutely a free tool provided by AliExpress. For those of you guys that did not know, I actually made a really useful video about how to utilize the AliExpress Dropshipping Center to your potential and how to validate products through it. So if you do want to see that video, click on that link right there on the top right if you're on desktop or on mobile. Moving forward, I went to the AliExpress Center and I validated the product by analyzing the trend of orders from the first 3 suppliers. I saw that each supplier was selling about 20 to 50 units per day. This was another good sign that we had for this product. After that, I went to Google and I typed in the name of the product, and then I did plus Shopify. You can actually use Google and type in different keywords such as water bottle plus Shopify.
What?
This will usually result in the best performing Shopify store selling that product, or just any Shopify store in general that is selling that product. On the first page, I did see a few stores attempting to sell that product, but if you ask me, they weren't doing a really good job. They were quite frankly pretty shitty product pages. One other thing I noticed for this specific product is every time I used different keywords, I couldn't find other stores past the first page on Google, which means it was a good sign, which also means there's not a lot of market awareness and a lot of market reach for this product. And last but not least, there's not a lot of people that attempted to sell the product. Last but not least, I went to Google Trends, which is actually pretty helpful when researching most products. And I saw there was a constant search demand, meaning people were actually specifically typing search queries for this product after September of 2020 and onwards. I also saw the actual graph was moving in an upwards trend for the past 90 days or 3 months. That just further validated this product for me, and it met my criteria of being untapped, having good margins, having a high perceived value, and also working for another store. I typically do not prefer to reinvent the wheel for traditional dropshipping products. You want to make sure that it's also working for maybe 1, 2, or 3 stores, and then study the ads and the website, do some competitive analysis to see how you can make it better. Meaning, how can you have a better offer, better pricing, a better description, better upsells, a better funnel, better ad copy, and better creative. That is exactly what I did after I validated the product completely. I went on forward and I said to myself, how can I actually make this better in every single way than that main competitor that was selling the product already? What I decided for my main offer would be based on people's quantity that they would purchase on the store. Meaning the more volume or the more units someone actually purchases, I offered a discount on each unit. Therefore, this is straight from my product page. That's why it says buy more, save more. You can also have something like get one for someone as a gift to make it unique and creative. Anyway, I had if someone bought 2, they would get 10% off of each unit. And if someone bought 3, well, then they would get 15% off of each unit. Obviously, some people did buy 4, 5, 6, 7. I even had someone actually buy 10 or 15 the other day, but that 15% off of each unit would still obviously apply. It would not be like 20, 25, 30, 35% and onwards. The other main reason why this offer worked so well, you can see from the $102,000, $60,000 were actually generated from the volume and discounted pricing app, meaning people actually opting in for this offer, meaning whether that be them purchasing 2 or 10. That's absolutely insane, guys. More than 50% of the revenue was through the offer. It was actually through the volume and discounted pricing app, which I highly recommend if you want to do quantity breaks or quantity or volume related discounts. That resulted my average order value to be $27.15. I did later on, after the second week of running ads, added a pre-checkout cross-sell, meaning a product that complements or relates or resonates with the main product. But even before that, my average order value was about 23 to 25 bucks on average. I simply just added that pre-checkout cross-sell just again to squeeze more money out of my customer and to increase that average order value, AOV. This was just working so well for me right off the bat. That's why I didn't think of adding like too many cross sells and bundles and upsells and this and that. I like to have things simple, but like I said, the second or third week, I did add that pre-checkout cross-sell just to even have my AOV go a little bit more higher. Really quickly, I do want to go over the apps I have on my store, at least the relevant apps I have on my store. First and foremost, we have Abandonment Protector. That is to send out abandonment cart email sequences. Afterwards, we have After Ship Order Tracking. That is for order tracking. People on the store can actually search for their orders and see where it is, whether it's shipped, in transit, or delivered. I also have the Best Currency Converter, which is a currency converter that auto converts the currency based on IP address or location. And I had that because I was not only selling to North American markets. Candy Rack One-Click Upsell was the app I was utilizing for the pre-checkout cross-sell I later added after the second or third week as mentioned. Klaviyo was for email marketing, so I could actually send email marketing campaigns on a week-to-week and monthly basis. I also have Luke's for photo reviews on the product page. Oberlo just to look at competitors, get pictures, and sometimes import products. SMS Bump for SMS marketing and sending out text messages to potential customers and past customers. Trackify was to back up my pixel to actually create a master pixel and to also segment pixels, quite frankly, in case something happens to my ad account and or business manager. True Profit basically calculates your day-to-day, weekly, monthly profits for you. You input your COGS, you connect your Facebook ad account, all that good stuff, and it does all the breaking down of numbers for you. Volume and discounted pricing, which is absolutely the GOAT app that played a remarkable part in bringing most of the store's revenue in. These are just personally my list. I don't have like 20 or 30 apps. I know a lot of people tend to have an increase or a plethora of apps, but the more apps you have, they quite frankly just slow down your store. Each and every app I have here contributes to the store in one way or the other, back end, front end, short term, and or long term. It does have a specific ROI in place, and that is why I have each app as you see in front of you. I do want to get into the juicy parts of Facebook ads. Now, in a second, I'm going to show my ads manager. And because the store is active, I may be a little bit limited as to what I'm able to show you guys, but I will still try my best and break down some of the metrics and other things to you guys. Before we do get into the actual Facebook ads manager, I do want to go over my launch/testing strategy of the product in terms of how I set it up. And yes, I did use the exact blueprint that I show in my A to Z testing blueprint, which you can actually see right over here. I always make sure I launch a conversion campaign off the get-go. I don't do PPE or traffic campaigns. I also make sure that conversion campaign is optimized for purchase because, in fact, that is the last event you want people to actually go through with. You don't want people to stop at add to cart. I know a lot of people say optimize for add to cart or initiate checkout or view content, but you want actually people to go through with the purchase as the last event on your store. So you want to make sure you're optimizing for purchase. I started out with a CBO campaign at $100 a day. My rule of thumb is that if you have a product that has a selling price of $30 or below, start out with a CBO campaign because you can usually get away with a lower cost per acquisition or cost per purchase. And that's because with CBO, certain ad sets are spending way more, certain ad sets are spending way less, so on and so forth. So just to be safe, I only utilize CBO when my product selling price is $30 or $35 or less. I will say, yes, you can still technically utilize a CBO campaign from the get-go for more mid-ticket items, maybe that have a selling price between $40 and $100. Something you may want to consider doing is set a minimum spend per ad set of maybe $5, $7, or $10. Since this was a little bit of a lower ticket product I was selling, I knew I would be just fine with CBO. That also led me to not really set a minimum spend per ad set because my target cost per purchase was anywhere from $5, $6 to about $8 or $9, which I knew was completely feasible and doable with a regular CBO campaign without any cost control or limit or anything as such set in place. Now, the actual structure of the campaign consisted of 10 ad sets, which had 20 ads, meaning each ad set had 2 creatives or 2 ads. Each ad set had video 1, thumbnail 1, and video 2, thumbnail 1, which means 2 videos and 1 thumbnail per ad set to split test from the beginning to see which one would perform well. For countries, I was obviously doing the big 5. You should more than likely be doing the big 5 for all of your products: US, United Kingdom, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. And on top of that, I was also doing some top tier e-packet European countries, which included France, Belgium, Ireland, Italy, and Switzerland. This was not a gender biased product. Like I said, it was in fact more mass approachable and mass targetable. So I was targeting both male and female. It turned out to be that most of my customers were female, about 60 to 70%, but I still had tons of male customers coming in every single day. For age, it was also quite flexible, so I was targeting 25 to 65-year-olds. I also made sure my language was in English because there are people, even in the US, let alone other countries, that have their Facebook not set to English. So I only want to target English-speaking users as my ad and my website are in English. For placements, I did do automatic. Now I usually do manual placements, which consists of Instagram feed, Facebook feed, and Instagram story. But since we're already in Q4, I knew the bidding wars were going to be very high on Facebook, especially with those three placements. Therefore, I just gave it to Facebook and did automatic, let Facebook choose the best placements to show my product. Last but not least, I ensured the audience size for each of my 10 ad sets were between 3 million to 100 million, give or take. If they're a little bit higher or lower, that is completely okay. Now, most of my ad sets did consist of a single interest. Sometimes I do go ahead and stack the actual ad set with multiple interests, perhaps 2, 3, 4, 5. If the interest is really good, but the audience size is below that 3 million threshold, I will go ahead and add other very similar and alike interest to that first one. That's just a quick note and quick FYI because a lot of you guys may be curious and have asked me, hey Yash, do I have one interest? Do I have multiple interests in an ad set? So that is my reasoning and my strategy behind it. As promised, we are now in the Facebook Ads Manager from October 23rd to November 14th. As you can see right here, I did want to give you guys a little bit of an in-depth insight and look into what went behind the ads and how they were performing. Now, I do have a few active and running campaigns I want to give you guys a rundown of really quickly. So this was the main CBO campaign I talked about on the earlier or previous slide. That is why it has the biggest and largest website purchase conversions. As you can see over here, after a few days, I took the top 6 ad sets from that original CBO campaign and launched another CBO. The way I scale CBOs is I simply just edit the budget and increase it by 50 to 100% every 2 to 3 days. Moving down the line, I launched 75% video watchers and 95% video watchers. After I reached 50,000 video views, I launched lookalikes for each one of them at an ABO level of $7 an ad set. Yes, I do launch my lookalikes at an ad set level. These do not have to be as much of a high budget as you really think about. Maybe $5 or $7 is completely fine. And then 2 days later, I also put them into their own individual CBO campaigns, but not all of them lasted and I did turn them off eventually. Oh, in fact, I do have one 75% lookalike CBO running of the top 9 ad sets. Anyway, moving forward, I took this one really good ad set from this original campaign right here, and it was performing really good. I mean, I think it had like a 3 or 4 or 5 ROAS like the first week or two. It had the most sales, really good metrics. So I basically duplicated that ad set itself 10 times into its own CBO at $100 a day, and since then, I have been increasing the budget for it. You can also see I launched some more lookalikes, visitors by time spent. I also launched website visitors, and I also launched add to cart lookalikes as well. For these sorts of lookalikes, I always start out by an ABO of $7 a day, and then I later group my best performing ones, as you can see right here, top 4 VTS, top 4 website visitors, into a CBO campaign. I essentially use the ABO campaign to test different lookalikes, to test different audiences, and then I take the best ones and I put them into a CBO campaign at large. Going into the ad set level of all the active ad sets, you can see that the CPC has been really good, under 70 cents, under 60 cents. CPMs have not been that bad at all, about 25 to 30 bucks. You can see I'm literally testing a bunch of different ad sets. And, the metrics and the KPIs, especially CPM and CPC, have been very steady. That's the main thing about a winning product, that the metrics will always be in your favor. Yes, they may have a few fluctuations here and there, but for the most part, they will be, again, in your favor, especially that CPC being below $1 and that CPM being below $25, $30 for the most part. What I also just realized is that Facebook did not track the full revenue. It only tracked about $98,000, which resulted in a ROAS of 1.85, which, yes, I'm still profitable. I know that's not over a 2, but you're also missing out on about $4,000 or $5,000 in sales. Maybe probably 1 or 2,000 of that came from abandonment cart email sequences and text message sequences. So overall, it's probably missing about $2,000 or $3,000 in sales, which is completely normal when it comes to Facebook, if you didn't know. On top of that, I think there are a few campaigns that I deleted by mistake, which is not a big deal. They probably have a few $1,000s in sales generated, which probably also contributes to the ROAS, but again, not too much of a big deal. As we go forward in the weeks, I'm probably going to focus more on hotter and warmer audiences and getting that ROAS up even higher. The great thing is that I have really good margins and a really good damn AOV. At a given time in the future, once I do stop running the store, I'll probably go into each ad set, go into the creative, see how I actually structured everything. Nonetheless, I really hope this gives you an idea of how I'm structuring things and how I'm scaling this. They're actually quite very simple. And there you guys have it, ladies and gentlemen. That was how I was able to take a brand new Shopify dropshipping store from $0 to over $100,000 in sales in the span of 21 days. If you do want to potentially see a part 2 of this case study series, make sure you guys destroy that like button. If this video gets over 250 likes, I assure you I will make a part 2 of this case study series regarding the store and how I was able to scale beyond the numbers I showed to you guys today. With that being said, I hope this was somewhat informative and helpful. I do implore you guys to take the strategies, methods, and tactics I discussed in this video and actually apply them to your own Shopify dropshipping store. As always, if you do have any questions, thoughts, or concerns, feel free to drop them in the comments below because I do reply to each and every single one of them. Thanks so much for watching, and until the next one, your boy's out. Peace.